terrifying night of the haunted school lockdown. It was a chilling autumn evening in a small, forgotten town, nestled amidst the Eerie woods and rolling hills. I was a student at Ravenswood High School, and little did I know that the events of that night would forever change my perception of the ordinary and plunge me into the realm of the unexplainable. One fateful evening, our school was thrust into lockdown mode due to reports of a wild animal on the loose in the vicinity. The dimly lit corridors of the school felt desolate as we huddled together in fear. The uneasy silence was punctuated only by the distant howling of the wind and the muffled whispers of my terrified classmates. As hours dragged on, anxiety gnawed at our nerves. We were trapped in our own educational prison, yearning for the dawn to break and set us free. But what happened next sent a shiver down my spine that I'll never forget. A faint, ghostly apparition began to manifest itself in the hallways. At first, it was just glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye, a shadowy figure flitting past, swift as a phantom. I dismissed it as mere paranoia, a trick of the mind in the midst of our confinement. But as the night wore on, the figure grew bolder, approaching closer and closer to our trembling group. Its presence seemed to drain the warmth from the air, and its eyes, hollow and lifeless, bore into our souls. Panic spread like wildfire among my classmates as we huddled together, frozen in terror. The figure, seemingly made of darkness itself, drew nearer, and whispers filled the air, whispers that spoke of ancient tales, curses, and long-forgotten tragedies. Some claimed to have heard the chilling laughter of children long gone, echoing through the deserted corridors. Our frantic attempts to escape were in vain, as the apparition continued its relentless pursuit. We had become prisoners in a supernatural nightmare, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. As dawn finally broke, the figure gradually dissipated, retreating into the shadows from whence it came. The school doors were unlocked, and we spilled out into the safety of the morning light, forever scarred by the haunting ordeal we had endured. To this day, no one can explain the terrifying events of that school lockdown. Was it a malevolent spirit, a restless soul seeking revenge, or a manifestation of our collective fear? The truth remains shrouded in darkness, a chilling reminder that the line between the real and the supernatural can blur in the most unexpected of places. The day my school went into lockdown. I was in high school when our school went into lockdown. It was a normal day, until we heard the announcement over the loudspeaker. This is not a drill. All students and staff are to be locked down immediately. We didn't know what was happening, but we followed the instructions. We locked the doors and turned off the lights. Then we sat in silence, waiting. We waited for hours. We didn't know what to do or what to think. We were all terrified. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we heard the announcement again. The lockdown has been lifted. All students and staff may return to normal activities. We were all relieved, but we were also shaken up. We didn't know what had happened, but we knew that it was something serious. The next day, we found out that there had been a sighting of a suspicious person on campus. The person was described as being tall and wearing a black hoodie. They were also carrying a backpack. The police searched the campus, but they couldn't find the person. We were all told to be on the lookout for them and to report any suspicious activity to the police. The lockdown was unsettling, but it was also kind of creepy. We were all wondering who the suspicious person was and what they were up to. A few weeks later, I was walking home from school when I saw someone matching the description of the suspicious person. They were standing in the shadows, and they were wearing a black hoodie. I was scared, but I knew that I needed to do something. I walked up to the person and asked them if they were okay. The person turned to face me, and I saw that they had a mask on. I couldn't see their faces, but I could see their eyes. They were cold and empty. The person didn't say anything. They just stared at me. I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew that I needed to get out of there. I turned and ran. I didn't look back. I ran all the way home, and I didn't stop until I was safely inside. I told my parents what had happened, and they called the police. The police searched the area, but they couldn't find the person. I never saw the person again, but I never forgot them. I still wonder who they were and what they wanted. I also wonder if they were the same person who caused our school to go into lockdown. I guess I'll never know. The unearthly phenomenon of Eastwood Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for a spine-tingling tale that unfolded within the eerie halls of Eastwood Academy, an inexplicable school lockdown that defied all logic and left us questioning the boundaries of reality. It was a cold winter's night, and I was a senior at Eastwood Academy, nestled in the heart of a quiet town with a dark history. Our school was rumored to be haunted, and that night, those rumors would turn into horrifying truths. As darkness descended upon the school, the tension was palpable. The reason for our lockdown was a mysterious power outage that had plunged the entire town into darkness. In the eerie silence, we clung to the feeble light of our cell phones and the uneasy company of our fellow students. But then, the inexplicable began to unfold. As the minutes turned to hours, strange occurrences began to rattle our already frayed nerves. The temperature in the building plummeted, and our breaths formed ghostly clouds in the air. Shadows danced on the walls, elongating and contorting into grotesque shapes. Whispers, faint and ethereal, began to fill the air. Some claimed they heard voices from another era, speaking in languages long forgotten. Others spoke of ghostly footsteps echoing down the empty hallways, yet no one was there. As the night wore on, we were gripped by an overwhelming sense of dread. Doors that had been securely locked swung open of their own accord, and phantom figures appeared in the corners of our vision. Apparitions of students from a bygone era. One student claimed to have seen the ghostly figure of a former teacher carrying a lantern, silently gliding down the main corridor. Another reported the feeling of icy fingers brushing against their neck, leaving behind a trail of numbing coldness. In a desperate bid to escape the surreal nightmare, we gathered in the gymnasium. But even there, we found no respite. The gym's old scoreboard flickered to life, its numbers counting down from an impossible time, and then it simply stopped. When dawn finally broke, the power was restored, and the lockdown was lifted. We stumbled out of the school, our faces pale, our minds haunted by the inexplicable events of that night.